time is 6:15. Here's the news edited by Ramesh Pires, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe appointed as the acting president. The acting president says citizens must support to maintain peace in the country. Curfew imposed in the Western Province, emergency law enforced island-wide. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to hand over his resignation within the day. The leader of the opposition urges the security forces to act responsibly. The religious leaders appeal to avoid violence and act with restraint. The BASL requests all citizens to adhere to the Constitution and respect the rule of law. International news: U.S. President Biden leaves for Middle East tour to seek more oil output. Sports news: cricket. India moved to third in the ODI rankings after beating England. Local news in detail. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has been appointed as the acting president of Sri Lanka. Speaker of the House Mahinda Abeyewardene said President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has appointed Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as the acting president since he is currently not in the country. The appointment has been made under Article 37.1 of the Constitution. Earlier today, the office of the Prime Minister and the Sri Lanka Air Force confirmed President Rajapaksa left the island for the Maldives. Meanwhile, the Speaker of Parliament, Mahinda Abeyewardene, confirmed that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was scheduled to hand in his letter of resignation today. The Speaker had called for an urgent party leaders' meeting this evening, which is currently underway. Acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe has requested citizens to support the police and Tri-Forces personnel to maintain law and order in the country. Issuing a special statement, Acting President Wickremesinghe said, based on advice he received from the security apparatus, curfew has been imposed in the Western Province while emergency law has been imposed across the country. The acting president confirmed that a committee consisting of Inspector General Police and Defence Chiefs has been appointed to independently take decisions to de-escalate the situation. Acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe noted that he cannot allow undemocratic forces to usher up power. Acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe also confirmed party leaders yesterday already agreed to appoint a new president next week. Once President Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigns today, Parliament is due to meet on Friday. Leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa says the government has suppressed the peaceful people's struggle by citizens who value democracy, while security forces must protect the public instead of protecting two individuals. MP Premadasa said the government is attempting to tarnish democracy and suppress the public through the security forces by making contradictory statements, and urged the forces to act responsibly at this time. He also urged public to act with restraint and uphold democracy at this time. Meanwhile, former President Maithripala Sirisena says state governance relates to ensuring public safety and the country's security. Former President Sirisena said enforcing the emergency law to suppress the public engaged in the democratic struggle and the imposition of curfew only in the Western Province is short-sighted effort to suppress justice, and condemned this move. The former president said it is the responsibility of the security forces to protect the public and the country. Moreover, leader of the National People's Power, Anura Kumar Dissanayake, says all efforts by the leaders in power to suppress protesters must be thwarted. In a statement on social media, MP Dissanayake said a catastrophic situation must be defeated at all times. MP Dissanayake said the National People's Power is prepared to give leadership towards this purpose, adding that they will stand against the suppression of the public. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. Imagine business anywhere.
Continuing with more local news, the religious leaders appealed to the nation today not to resort to violence and act with restraint. Respected Buddhist priest Venerable Omalpe Sobhitathera appealed to the people to remain calm and said President Gotabaya Rajapaksa should announce his resignation as promised. The Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Cardinal Malcolm Ranjit, also appealed for calm, saying Sri Lanka is starting at the danger of foreign intervention which should be avoided at any cost. Sri Lanka Railways has informed that trains due to reach Colombo from outstations area have been cancelled until further notice. General Manager of Railways Dhammika Jayasundara said advice in his regard was issued by the office of the acting president given the decision to impose curfew in the Western Province. Acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe issued directives earlier this morning to impose curfew in the Western Province. The directive came into effect with the large crowds gathering outside the Prime Minister's office down Flower Road and in several parts of the Colombo. The US Embassy in Colombo has cancelled its services as a precaution for the next 2 days. The embassy said that out of an abundance of caution, Consular is cancelling its Wednesday afternoon services as well as all consular services tomorrow. The US Embassy apologized for any inconvenience and will be rescheduled all cancelled appointments. That ends local news.
Imagine if you could maintain a firm hold of your operations from anywhere. People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. Imagine business anywhere.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka, expressing concern about statements made by the various protesting groups, requested all citizens to adhere to the Constitution and respect the rule of law. Issuing a statement, the BASL unequivocally stated that at this decisive time in the country, it is absolutely necessary that all citizens respect the rule of law and constitutional governance. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, Sri Lanka Railways says that despite curfew being imposed in the Western Province, trains will operate until commuters return to their homes. The General Manager of the Railways, Dhammika Jayasundara, said that the department is working to fulfill that task so that the commuters are not inconvenienced. Earlier in the day, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe ordered to impose curfew in the Western Province with immediate effect and to impose emergency law island-wide. The PM has also ordered the security forces to arrest people acting in riotous manner and then lorries they are travelling. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, here are the headlines. US President Biden leaves for Middle East tour to seek more oil output. Millions to get credits over internet and mobile blackout in Canada. While Trump's tweet incited attacks, says inquiry. World news in detail. US President Joe Biden has departed for Saudi Arabia, where he will ask leaders from oil-producing countries to increase their output. Biden left a military base near Washington on Tuesday for his first tour of the Middle East since he took office. He will also be visiting Israel and Palestinian territory of the West Bank. In Saudi Arabia, Biden is scheduled to attend a meeting of Gulf nations. With the midterm elections coming up in the fall and public discontent rising over surging gas prices, Biden is eager to meet leaders of oil-producing countries in person. Canadian mobile and internet giant Rogers say it will give credit to millions of its customers after a nationwide outage last week. In a statement posted late on Tuesday, the firm said users will receive the equivalent of 5 days service. The outage, which lasted for more than 15 hours, also affected transport, banking and emergency services. Rogers is one of Canada's largest telecoms companies with more than 11 million subscribers. A U.S. congressional inquiry has heard a Trump tweet mobilized far-right extremists to converge on Washington's D.C. on the day of the last year's Capitol riot. The then-president forged ahead with the rallying call to supporters even though aides repeatedly told him he had fairly lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden. The committee accuses Mr. Trump of an attempt coup to remain in power. Supporters of Donald Trump violently stormed Congress on 6 January 2021 as lawmakers met to certify Mr. Biden's victory. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. U.S. President Biden leaves for Middle East to seek more oil output. Millions to get credits over internet and mobile blackout in Canada. Wild Trump tweet incited attack, says inquiry. That ends world news. Moving on to development news. Ceylon Commercial Fertilizer Company says that the stock of urea provided under the Indian loan scheme has been safely distributed to the respective areas according to the quantity requested. Its chairman, Metsere Abe Gunawardana, said the GPS technology has been used to monitor the lorries in order to prevent irregularities while the lorries carrying fertilizers are travelling to the Agricultural Service Centre. In the meantime, the Ministry of Agriculture stated that it is planned to carry out distribution activities for districts like Batiklo, Anuradhapura and Hambantota as per the requirement. A bundle of fertilizer is to be sold to the farmers for 10,000 rupees. Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Cricket news. India's first 10-wicket win against England in men's ODI has taken them to third place in the ICC rankings, ahead of Pakistan. With 108 rating points, India need to win or draw the 3 ODI series against England to stay ahead of Pakistan, who have 106. New Zealand led the ODI rankings with 127 points, while England are second with 122. Meanwhile, CSA has taken a risk with an eye on securing the long-term sustainability of the game of fighting 3 ODIs in Australia, which form part of the direct qualification pathway for the 50-over World Cup in India next year. The reason for the forfeiture is the launch its own T20 franchise league. But there is acknowledgement that not qualifying for the World Cup will be a disaster. That ends the sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka's state-owned Litrogas Lanka Limited hopes to eliminate the country's cooking gas queues by July 31st and to maintain adequate stocks in the country till the end of October. Chairman Mudita Perez said the company commenced distribution on Monday after a period of interruption due to Sri Lanka's inability to import stocks. While prices on the 12.5 kilogram cylinders have been hiked, Perez urged the public not to buy from the black market as Litro had made arrangements to procure 33,000 metric tons of gas till the end of July and 100,000 metric tons to last till the end of October this year. That ends business news.
Business news sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic News, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has announced that the grace period granted for the residents of Sri Lanka to deposit or sell the foreign currency in possession to an authorized dealer has been extended. For further information, individuals can refer the order under Section 8 of the Foreign Exchange Act published in the Gazette Extraordinary, notification number 2287/16 dated 5th July 2022, which can be downloaded or accessed via www.dfe.lk. That ends Economic News.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Moving on to weather report, the Meteorological Department forecasts several spells of showers to occur in the Sabaragama province and in the Nuwara and Kandy districts. A few showers will occur in the western and southern northwest provinces and in Galle and Matra districts. Strong winds about 50 km per hour can be expected at times in the western slopes of the central hills and in northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe appointed as the acting president. The acting president says citizens must support to maintain peace in the country. Curfew imposed in the western province, emergency law enforced island-wide. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to hand over his resignation within the day. The leader of the opposition urges the security forces to act responsibly. The religious leaders appeals to avoid violence and act with restraint. The BASL requests all citizens to adhere to the Constitution and respect the rule of law. International news, US President Biden leaves for Middle East tour to seek more oil output. Sports news, cricket, India moved to third in the ODI rankings after beating England. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka.